Hello, Eleanor Roosevelt High School.
Hi.
Hello.
This is the first of many, hopefully, Eleanor Roosevelt podcasts.
My name is Ethan Benzion.
And my name is Isabella Pingree. And we will be your wonderful
Co-hosts.
hosts. Yes, we will be your wonderful hosts over the course of the next year, maybe even more if we're lucky.
And we are so excited.
Yes, we are. We cannot wait to share all of this news about our school, about our world, about everything. Like it's honestly, this is just a place for you guys to tune in and sort of just like listen and learn about your community and stuff outside your community as well. Your friends, your peers, your teachers, whole 9 yards.
Yes.
So
Let's get on with some announcements.
Yeah. So throughout this podcast, every week or every other week when we release an episode, here are some things you can expect.
We will have a sports segment. We will have sometimes an arts and culture segment. And we will have one guest who will change every week. You can be a guest. A staff member can be a guest. If you are a staff member, you can be a guest. If you're a student, you can be a guest.
Anyone can be a guest.
Anyone who is involved with the building can be a guest.
Yes, and we do have a QR code posted around the building now for anybody that would like to be a guest. There's a short little Google form just to let us know a little bit about you before you come on, and then we can schedule an interview and you can be on here on the mic just like us.
We record every other Tuesday.
Every other Tuesday in the library.
In the library, speaking of the library, starting before the next episode, we are going to put an anonymous confession box in the library. If you have something you want to tell us and not tell us who you are, you should write it on a slip of paper and put it in the confession box.
Make sure all the information is PG-13. This is a high school, mind you.
Yes.
This is not a free-for-all.
And also, we will be going through it before we read it on the episode, so don't even try anything.
Don't try anything. But yeah, we're happy to hear all of your student opinions and even staff opinions. Maybe we'll get some hot gossip.
Who knows? Oh, we would love some hot gossip. If you're staff and you're listening and you want to give us hot gossip, we will take it.
Hot gossip. So yeah,
I think that's everything we had to say in the intro. So, enjoy the rest of the episode, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, hi, I'm Val.
I'm Brody.
And we're here to talk to you about sports.
Yes, sports.
Sports, hooray. So first topic of the day, we basically want to talk about baseball. Basically, we're in, Brody just swung a bat.
A fake bat.
It was really, really interesting and amusing, and you would have loved to see it. Basically, right now what's happening in baseball is we have the World Series. As a Yankees fan, I don't want to talk about the past, few games that we had. But for those of you who are unaware, we did get swept by the Astros.
Not good.
Not good at all. Thank you, Brody. But right now, the World Series is tied up. Game 1 and Game 2. The Phillies won the first game, and the Astros won the second one. So it's really, up in the air about who's going to win it.
Who do you think's going to win?
Personally, I hope it's the Phillies. But, the Astros have their reputation, but I think the Phillies have a good shot. So we're going to see. Yeah, that's what's going on in baseball. I'll come to you guys next podcast with more updates of who won the series.
Okay, other sports. Soccer. The World Cup is coming up under 3 weeks now. Very exciting. Are you excited?
I am so excited. As a Brazilian, I am pumped to get my 6th star on this here jersey. I'm wearing a Brazil jersey.
Yeah. And as a U.S. fan, I'm excited to keep having 0 stars on the jersey. What else? Football. The Giants lost this week, but are still doing pretty well this year, considering they're usually not very good at all. Doing pretty well.
People have hope. I heard the Jets are also not
They're
doing
not terrible.
that bad. Yeah.
They're usually even more terrible than the Giants. They are not very terrible.
Yeah, so, go New York.
Yeah. Speaking of New York, a school in New York, Elro, our soccer team, we lost our first playoff game for the 4th year in a row.
How did that make you feel, Brody, as a person?
As someone on the soccer team, it was not very fun. They scored a last-minute winner, last-minute winning goal. Really hurt. Not very fun, but it's okay. Well, next year. Next year's our year.
You got next year.
We got next year.
As a senior next year, do you think you have a chance at being a captain?
Probably not.
Well,
you never know.
A guy can dream, right?
always. You never know.
Okay, there we go.
Other Elrose sports. Tennis, boys tennis starting soon. Tryouts will be announced
Shortly?
Shortly.
Yeah.
And girls table tennis. Go talk to Mr. Curran about that for more information on how to sign up and join that team.
There we go. And also the volleyball and basketball teams are like starting up. The volleyball is already going on, but the basketball is starting up. So, get involved. If you're already involved, go you. And yeah, that's that on that.
That's it.
Thank you for listening to our sports segment. We'll see you next week. Hello, everyone.
Hello there.
And welcome to your Arts and Current Events segment with Coco Sagu-Jones.
And Ethan Benzion.
All right. So first off, we have Las Flores de mi País, which is the flowers of my country, presented by New York City Parks Latino Society and New York City Parks Arts and Antiquities.
We love flowers,
We
gotta
do.
say.
So that will be in the Arsenal Gallery in Central Park through November 10th, and it features artwork by more than 20 artists exploring interpretations of Latinx culture and imagery of native flora.
Wonderful.
Very
All right,
wonderful.
what else do we got?
We got Edward Hopper's New York, which is on at the Whitney Museum of American Art from October 19th to March 5th, 2023. It displays Hopper's early impression of New York in sketches, prints, and illustrations.
I actually did go to that exhibit at the Whitney, and I would highly recommend, especially if you are not a native New Yorker, but I know most of you guys are, so I would suggest checking out that exhibit. It's really unique, and it also kind of takes you back in time to a New York City that we don't get to see anymore.
How interesting. All right. Next up, we have Alex Katz's Gathering at the Guggenheim Museum. It's on from October 21st to February 20th, 2023. And in the exhibition, he compresses the flux of everyday life into a vivid burst of optical perception.
Beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Beautiful.
All right. And finally, we have our own Elrose student, Dylan Hobeck, who produced a short film and is one of many that will be screened in the New York Short Film Festival on November 14th from 8 to 9 p.m. at Cinema Village in Greenwich Village. And the tickets are available at the newyorkshort.com website. We highly encourage you to go support Dylan.
Yes, I mean, if you want to go support a fellow Elrose student and just a fellow peer, I feel like it would be much appreciated.
It would be.
To go buy some tickets. That's newyorkshort.com. Once again, that is newyorkshort.com.
And this short film has won many awards. So congratulations to Dylan.
Congratulations, Dylan.
All right, that is all for this segment. Signing out.
Okay, now it is time to introduce the podcast's very first guest ever. We are very excited.
Yes, I hope you guys are just as excited as we are. We have with us today...
Highly anticipated.
Hi, I'm Mr. Stevens.
Yes, that's right. We have Mr. Stevens, the infamous English teacher and AP Lit teacher. So, Mr.
Yes.
Stevens, are you excited, nervous? What are your thoughts on the
How are you
first
feeling, Mr. Stevens?
first Elro podcast?
Well, I'm wondering about infamous.
Beloved.
Beloved.
better
Okay,
word. It's a better word.
Beloved, I'd prefer.
It's true.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I'm glad to be here, guys. What questions do you have for me?
Okay, so we did prepare a small questionnaire, and we're gonna roughly outline it. So I feel like the first question that a lot of people in the school think about is your style, the way you dress as a teacher.
Yes.
Because I feel like in some people's head that would be the way a teacher would dress, but I feel like it's kind of gotten, I don't know, toned down. So what inspires you to dress the way you do to school every day?
Well, the reason why I started dressing up, that has to do with when I started teaching. So when I first started teaching, I was in my late 20s, but I looked significantly younger than most of the undergraduates that I was teaching. So I would be mistaken for a student when I just showed up, wearing a collared shirt. I would stand outside of the classroom waiting to get in, and the students would be talking about, what have you heard about Professor Stevens, not realizing that I was actually Professor Stevens. So I needed to do something to distinguish myself appearance-wise from my students, and also to give myself more confidence. So that's why I started wearing jackets and blazers and ties and full suits. And over time, that just became my work gear. It's really hard for me to teach unless I'm dressed up. I don't feel like I'm like equipped. It's like not having my computer, or not having my grade book, or not having my text, not being dressed up. I don't feel like I'm ready to teach. It's just become that kind of like habit for me.
I feel like the kids or the students kind of react in a similar way. Like, if you were to come to school like less dressed up, they would feel the energy in the room change a little bit as well, because that's how you've been presenting yourself since the beginning.
Yeah, and I was wondering anything about a leather jacket return. I know in September we did get to see 2 days of leather jacket Mr. Stevens.
Yes, so moths got into Mr. Stevens' closet, and Mr. Stevens had to have his closets fumigated, had to send all of his jackets to be dry cleaned. So for those 2 days, Mr. Stevens, the only jacket that he had that had not been attacked by the moths was a leather jacket. So Mr. Stevens wore a leather jacket and tie combo for those 2 days.
So should we not be expecting the leather jacket come back anytime soon?
I liked it.
Unless the moths strike again.
Yeah, very special occasion. I don't know. I think that that one needs to be saved.
I see.
Yeah.
I agree.
Disappointing, but we understand.
That leather jacket I bought several years ago, and that was the first time I'd ever worn it.
Wow.
Is it from Brooks Brothers?
Brooks Brothers.
Yeah.
Very nice. So I feel like you roughly touched on it before, but our next question is, what was your time teaching like before Elro, and now looking back, how do you compare it to your teaching experience at Eleanor Roosevelt? I know you came from Harvard, like you said, and now you are teaching in a New York City public school. And what are some, obviously there's an age difference, but what are some big differences in the way you've been teaching?
So, did you want me to talk about Harvard versus Elro, or because between Harvard and Elro there were other teaching experiences?
So yes,
We'd love to hear about those, yeah.
Yeah, so I was at Harvard, and then my wife wanted to get her graduate degree in cognitive neuroscience at Johns Hopkins University. So we moved to the University of Maryland, and I taught at the University of Maryland for 2 years. In addition, there were 2 postdoctoral fellowships, one at the University of Pittsburgh and the other at the National Humanities Center in North Carolina. And I also worked for a college admissions company, helping students get into top 20 U.S. schools. These were students from Canada, the United States, East Asia, India. And then I had the opportunity to teach summer school for Duke TIP, Duke Talent Identification Program. And I was working with middle school students and high school students, and I realized that I was really delighted by the classroom relationships that I had with the students. Really different from high school teaching, especially places like Harvard, where a lot of the teaching involves lecturing. The advanced courses, you can do seminars, and you can do, senior mentorships, but a lot of the teaching involves lecturing. So it was really fun to be in a classroom where I felt like I was able to interact with the students. We had a lot more lots of spontaneous questions, lots of and a lot of things that sort of forced me back to basics, to think about why I liked teaching literature in the first place, as opposed to teaching literary theory and teaching stuff that would advance, my academic field. Why did I love literature? Why did I like telling stories? Why did I like teaching how to write? And so, with some advice from my aunt by marriage, who was a veteran DOE teacher, she was an English teacher, been in the DOE for 30 years and worked at DOE Central, sort of guided me through the certification process. And my first DOE job was at Stuyvesant, and then Hunter, and then I ended up at Elro. So that's sort of the pathway.
Quite the journey.
Yeah, and speaking of going back to basics and a love of literature, we are dying to know if you were trapped on a desert island, what would be the 3 books that you would have with you and why?
Oh, goodness. Well, one would be William Faulkner's Absalom, because it's my favorite novel. So that's like a Southern Gothic masterpiece from the 1930s. I've taught that several times at the college level, never at the high school level, but I love that book. A second book.
The Great Gatsby?
Is it The Great Gatsby?
Possibly The Great Gatsby, because I have so many good memories of teaching it. That is the book that I have taught the most. That and The Scarlet Letter. I've taught those 2 books the most of any texts that I've taught. So The Great Gatsby actually isn't one of my favorite novels, but I would probably take it with me just because of all the good memories I have.
Aww.
And what would be the third? It would be a book of literary criticism by Frank Kermode called The Sense of an Ending. And it's a really profound study of how works of fiction help us to make sense of time.
Very nice.
Wow.
So now we do have a couple more personal questions, if you're okay with that.
Yes.
What does Mr. Stevens look like, not just necessarily just like appearance, but outside of a school setting?
Pretty much the same. I have virtually no casual clothes. I wear the same outfits outside of school that I wear at school.
Well, it's distinct. It's good. It's good. Our next question is, do you have any embarrassing or funny teaching moments throughout your teaching career? An anecdote that comes to mind?
Well, when I was at Duke TIP, they gave me a room where the lectern was on a dais, so the front part of the room was raised, you'd step down to get to the part of the classroom where there were desks, and the kids were all on their roller desks. And when I saw that setup, I said, "There's just no way I'm not going to fall," because, as you guys know, I like to walk and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I will sometimes lose a sense of my physical surroundings when I really get into teaching. And sure enough, one day I walked too close to the edge, and I almost pitched forward, and I was teetering on the edge. The kids parted like the Red Sea, all the little roller desks split down. All these were middle schoolers, except for one kid. He was transfixed, and immediately below me, he was looking up, saucer.
About to fall?
Frozen in place, and I kept oh my gosh, he's got to move out of the way. And then all of a sudden he blurted out, "All craft, pull up, evasive action." He whipped his roller desk to the side, and then that helped me regain my balance. And I thought, where have I heard that before? What was he quoting? And then I heard him outside of class saying, "Did you hear that? Yeah, I was just like Lando Calrissian. And I thought, wait a second, in Return of the Jedi, when the rebel forces think that the new Death Star is not fully operational, they go there to try to attack it. As it turns out, it's a ruse. The Death Star is fully operational, and they open fire on the rebels. And when Lando Calrissian, who's in the console of, I guess it's the Millennium Falcon.
The Millennium Falcon, yeah.
Punches the console and says, "All craft, pull up, evasive action." So I was the Death Star, for this kid.
Wow.
Quite the analogy.
What an amazing thing to put on a resume.
Being the Death Star?
Expanded child's imaginative horizons by impersonating Imperial Death Star. So yeah, that was potentially embarrassing, but instead it was, the students remembered it as one of their favorite moments from the class at the end of the summer school.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's quite memorable.
Yeah.
Quite memorable.
So we are almost out of time today, but to close out this interview, we were wondering if you had a favorite literary pun.
Yes, I remember from class you had mentioned that you would study some books on your free time and make some literary puns, if any comes to mind right now.
Oh, this was when I was a nerd, and I was studying abroad at Oxford my junior year of college, and they had etymological dictionaries, and so I would go there and I would try to come up with etymological puns. But you guys have put me on the spot. I've got to
we have to know.
Yeah, but it's been so many years. answers.
Okay.
I have to go back and look at my
It's okay.
notebooks because I used to
All
do
right.
them.
We can
come back with
find out
another
another time.
Okay, you
It's
can
okay,
like
Mr.
edit it
Steven.
in.
Oh my
Oh my gosh, we forgot to
forgot
ask
to
you the
ask.
most
We
important
forgot to
question.
ask. Okay,
so
so-
we heard from a little birdie that you might be getting a new cat soon, and we were hoping that you would address the rumors.
So it is true that I want to get a new cat. I don't know how soon because I'm still mourning Fifi.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we understand.
So I will either get a British Blue, which is a special breed. I love the jowls; they're very jolly looking cats. Or I'll go through the North Shore Animal Shelter and get a rescue kitty. Ms. Duke's niece, I believe, works for the North Shore Animal Shelter, so she could help me find a kitty. So I'm debating. I've always wanted a British Blue. I think they're adorable. They're roly-poly. But I also like the idea of adopting a rescue kitten. And whatever I do, I will have the students in my advisory help me name the kitten. We'll take a vote.
I am in his advisory.
Yes, so we will take a vote and decide what the name of the kitty's going to be.
Very excited for that.
Yes. Wishing you luck on your quest to find the perfect cat.
Yes, and as the namer of Mr. Stevens' classroom, Stebot, I believe that I will contribute some great names.
I'm sure that you will.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I think our final question is, how do you like your coffee? Because we, as students in some of your classes, we do know how much the caffeine is important in the day of Mr. Stevens.
Yes, Mr. Stevens, likes to refuel himself frequently. So I take it with milk and no sugar. Milk and no sugar.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stevens.
All right, thank you
so
guys.
much.
Take care.
How was that?
Did you enjoy it?
Did you?
We hope you did.
Be honest.
We worked really hard on it.
Yeah, we did.
So that was the very first episode of the Elro Pawcast.
I genuinely hope you guys enjoyed it because we will be working just as hard as we did to create this one every week in the library. Invitations are still open to be part of the club, production team, maybe your own segment.
Yes, please do. We need you. We want you.
Yes. So we do meet in the libraries every other Tuesday in the back room of the library where all the books are. And we also have an Instagram
Please
that you
follow
guys
us.
should go follow.
It's at Elro Pawcast.
That's paw like a P-A-W-K or C-A-S-T, a P-A-W-C-A-S-T.
There is not a K in it.
There is no K.
I think that's it. Is there anything to say?
I think that's it too.
I think that's it. Thank you for listening.
wait.
Oh, is there
There is
another thing?
one more thing.
One more thing.
If you see George Hall in the hallway, you need to thank him because he is the actual...
He is the best executive producer we've
He is
ever
the
had.
best executive producer we have ever had and the only executive producer that we could ever need.
And will ever have ever.
So thank you, George.
Thank you, George Hall. He gave us a thumbs up. Okay, we're done. Thank you so much for listening.